Hello, everybody. So this is the lecture 3 for our breakout game. And so what we're going to be doing in this lecture is we're going to be creating a ball class. So right now, if you look at what we've got on the page here, no, don't play. Okay, stop. What we've got on the page here for lecture 3 is some lecture slides that we're going to go over. The lecture video, which isn't there because we're recording it right now. And I have some files here, which are a main.java and a paddle.java for lecture 3. So what these are is the stopping point for the previous lecture. So if you did lecture 1 and you did lecture 2, then you don't need these files, the main and the paddle, because you already have them or you have something very similar. And so you don't have to download these, but if you just started this video for lecture 3 and you wanted to start at the same point that I am, then these are the two files that you could use. And how are you going to get what's inside these files into your Eclipse project? Well, you'll have to open these up in a text editor and copy paste and stuff, and it'll take a little bit of work, but I'm sure you can handle it. In fact, maybe I'll just show that. So in Eclipse, I have my breakout part 2 here, which I can just continue. But instead of doing that, I will do a new Java project, and I'll call this breakout underscore part underscore O3, like that. And I will add the two files that we need to start with, which will be a new class called main, and we'll just let that go. And I'll do the same thing again, and I'll do a new class, and I'll call it paddle. And so now I've got two blank files here, and let's say I want this data in there. So like if I download these, then they're going into my downloads folder, and they're called lecture 3 main and lecture 3 paddle. And so like if I open up the lecture 3 main, it opened up here in a separate coding app, but if it opened in Eclipse, that'd also be fine. I can just select all this text here, and that was for main, so I can come here, delete what's there, paste it, save. And then for paddle, I can delete what's in paddle. I can open up paddle.java in a text editor. I could also probably drag it here and copy that, close it, paste it into the actual paddle.java that's part of our project, and save it. And so you can use those as your starting point. And if I run this, it should run. And there we go. So this was the stopping point for part 2, although I see that I still have it labeled part 1. So we had a paddle that moved back and forth, and that's where we stopped. I guess the first thing I'll do is I'll scroll down all the way in the main.java, and it says breakout part 3. Let's change it to well, it said breakout part 1, but let's change it to part 3 and save it just so it's labeled appropriately. Another thing we can do here, I guess before we start doing anything, is we've got the paddle that moves back and forth now. And we also have this stupid green box. Now, the stupid green box was from when we were just getting started and we were learning how to draw a box. But we don't need it anymore, do we? Right? That's not contributing anything. So if we go through our main, let's delete everything that has to do with that green box. And then we'll get started on today's topic here. So paddle, window size, rectangle. I think this is all stuff that can go. Now, if I delete it, which I will, and I save this and I try to run it, I'm going to get some errors probably, right? Errors exist, and I can try to run it, and I'm getting some errors down here, and it's not actually getting started. Um, Now, why is that? Because I just deleted some variables and those variables were being used. And so now that I deleted the variables related to that green rectangle, let's scroll down and we'll be able to tell what we have that we shouldn't have. So let's see here. Probably we're looking for some errors. Well, look at that, right? There's an error right there. And you can see that it sets the color to green and then it does a fill rect, which is drawing a rectangle at rect X, rect Y, and then the size. But those were the variables we deleted. So if we delete them here in the paint component and save it again, we might be good. Paddle, we deleted, this would have also given us an error, but we commented it out last time. We can just delete that actually, a little cleanup. And yeah, key presses, key release, key typed, which we're not even using. We have a main. All right, I think we're good. So let's see here. Okay, let's run this. We should be back to where we were, except that we don't have a green block in the corner. Okay, with that said, let's start what we're doing today, which is these lecture 3 slides. So I have lecture 3 slides already downloaded, so they're here. And this is what we're doing, which is going to be writing the Ball.java class. So what we want to do is basically start with a class that we already have, because the paddle moves around and it's drawn on the screen, right? Well, the ball is also going to move around and be drawn on the screen. And so what we want to do is kind of write this ball class, and a lot of what we have can already be there. Or, I mean, a lot of what we have can be reused. So what you would do to write the ball class is, well, first of all, create a new class, call it ball, capital B, like that, and we have public class ball. Now, what you can do is we could just copy everything here. In fact, I'm lazy, so I will. So I'll just select all, and I will Control C to copy it, or Command C actually, because I'm on a Mac. And I'll delete everything in here and I'll paste it. Now, I've already made a mistake, right? Because you see, this is called Ball.java. And because I just copied the paddle over, it still says paddle. So you now, if you do copy everything like I just did, you have to find all the places where it says paddle and replace it with ball. Um, Now, one quick way to do that, maybe I'll undo that. You can do it manually. I think it's probably in here 3 or 4 times, maybe just 3. You could use the find and replace option as well, or do it by hand. So like if you were doing find and replace, in your edit menu, you should have find, where, find replace, Command F. And so if you find paddle with an uppercase P, and you replace it with ball with an uppercase B, and then the first little icon here will replace the first instance. The second icon here will replace all of them. So I'll click the second one, and if you look at what we've got, now everywhere where it said paddle, it now says ball. So like public class ball, ball for the constructor there, so on. We will still have to, rewrite a lot of this. So I guess one thing we'll do is these constants. This was the starting constants for where our ball should be, or for our paddle should be. But let's see what we have here. So what do we want to keep from paddle? X and Y position, yes. Color, yeah. The getters and setters, sure. The draw, yeah. But what do we need to change? Well, we need to change it so that instead of having width and height, we only need a size, because the ball is round. So we come over here, and instead of width and height, right, we can delete those, and we can do private int size, like that. But if you change that, then maybe we should go up here to the final int width and final int height. Change those to add a size here. And we don't really know how big we want the paddle or the ball to be right now. So let's just add like, we'll say 16 right now, like that. Okay. So we just replaced width and height with size, at least up here. We'll have to make a lot of changes later on. Um, we also have velocity. And so the ball's going to move, but it doesn't just move left and right, right? It has to move in the X direction and the Y direction. And so what we're going to introduce is some variables that are going to be the velocity. So the dx and dy, those are pretty standard. Like you'll see those a lot if you do any kind of game programming. Um, like d is like delta x, delta y, which means like the change. So the change in x and the change in y, and how much the x value changes per frame, and how much the y value changes per frame. Like that's the velocity in that direction. So we need these two variables. So we'll come back here, and in the fields, we'll add private int dx, and you can put them on separate lines. I've been putting everything on a separate line, but like, you could have just put these on the same line. Dx, dy. Um, I don't know if we need a default here. Since I don't know, let's just go ahead and add a default here. So we'll do two things here, and we'll call them dx and dy. And for now, we'll just set them to be 0. We can modify that later. So we have an x, a y, a dx, a dy, a size. We have speed, but I don't think we need speed because dx and dy are now the speed. Um, so does it say anything about speed here? It doesn't. Um, hmm. I'm trying to decide if we need this or not. Let's delete it and I'll add it back if we need it. And then we need a color, and the color can be anything we want. Um, let's do, is there light gray? Let's find out. I'll type L, color dot L. Hey, there's light gray right there. Let's pick that. So our ball will be light gray to start with. And so we have X, Y, DX, DY size color, X, Y, DX, DY size speed. Let's get rid of the speed. And then we have to fix our constructor. So the constructors are what, get our object created with the defaults here. So we don't have width and height and speed. So delete them. But we do have dx, dx, which should be equal to the default value dx. We have little dy, which should be default value capital dy. We got a size. So size should be uppercase size like that. And color is color. We got to fix it down here as well. That should not be a problem. So like this was to create a ball at a specific location. So I think we can just copy these same things, dx, dy size, get rid of the width, height, speed, replace them. Cool. So, we're moving down the file and we're making changes here. So we've got that. Now let's look at the set X, set Y. Those are fine. We got set width and set height and set speed. But now we have a dx, a dy, and size. So these have to change. So we can delete them. Width, height, and speed should go away. And maybe this is a good opportunity to look back at our slides, see what they say. The ball's data, X, Y size, DX, DY color. Okay, we've already done that, right? X, Y, DX, DY size color. X, Y, DX, DY size color. So we have exactly what it says there, just in different order. This says 16 pixels. That's what I picked for my default as well. They explain dx and dy are delta x, delta y, how many pixels the ball moves, the constructor. Um, yeah, so this is a good idea too. Maybe we should change these. So in here, we've got the constructor. They suggest 400 and 300 for the starting position, and then dx3 would mean moving to the right 3 pixels per frame, and -3 for dy would mean moving up by 3 pixels per frame. And remember, negative for Y is up because the upper left corner of the frame, that's 0, 0. So when you move down, the Y value gets bigger, right? Y grows downward, as it says. So maybe what we should do here, they've got 3 and -3. If we wanted to reproduce that, we would go up here to kind of these constants that are our default values. And like our starting dx could be 3 and like -3, like that. I've got them all defined in terms of constants rather than defining them here in the constructor. So that's slightly different here compared to what I just did. Then we've got draw. So we were previously drawing a rectangle, which we did by setting the color to whatever the color is supposed to be, and then filling a rectangle. The only thing we need to really change for the ball is we should, instead of fill rect for rectangle, we should do fill oval, which is for circles or ovals. And then the X and the Y are going to be the upper left corner. And then the size and the size are going to be the width and the height. But since it's a circle, we want the width and the height to be the same. And it'll just be the size. So literally, we just go down to find the draw function. Here it is, and we just change fill rect to fill oval, capital O. And the width and the height are wrong. We want size and size. Like that. We got some stuff to fix here. Right? We got a lot of wrong things here. So get width, right? That needs to go away. Get height, that needs to go away. Get speed, that needs to go away. Get colors fine. Move left. The problem here is that we don't actually want move left and move right. And maybe we don't even want the fix ball either. So actually, all these methods, move left, move right, fix ball, they can be deleted. Obviously, we want to keep the draw because we just did it. So let's delete all these. Move left, move right, and fix ball. Okay. So what do we want? I think we'll need a move function. They'll probably tell us that next. Move. So every frame, we need to move the ball a little bit, right? So if we want the ball to keep moving, then every frame, we're going to add whatever the dx is to the x and add whatever the dy is to the y. Okay? So we could just copy paste this, or I can just type it. So I'll do public void move. And we take the x value, and the new x value is going to be the old x value plus how much we want to move, which is dx. And the y value should be equal to y plus the dy value. Now, you don't need minus signs here or anything like that, because if the dx is positive, we'll move in the positive direction, which will be right. And if the dx was negative, then we'd move in the negative direction, which is left. So the sign's already taken care of because the dx and the dy have their own sign. Okay, so at this point, the ball should move on its own. Okay. It won't though yet. So with this much written, let's go over to main and scroll up all the way. And where we add a new paddle, let us add a new ball. So public ball, we'll just call it ball equals new ball, like that. That will create a ball. Now, if I run this, what will happen? We don't see a ball, right? We don't see a ball because we're not drawing the ball. So if we scroll down to where the paddle is being drawn, which is in this paint component section, paddle.draw. Well, how about ball.draw? And just like the paddle, it needs the G. The graphics G is the window we're drawing in. So now I'm drawing the ball. So let's draw the ball. Where is it? I don't see it. Oh, wait, I do see it. I'm blind. It's inside the paddle. It's right there. Uh, okay, so our default's not very good. So let's go back up here and like maybe oh yeah, because I we picked these to be the same as the position of the paddle. So let's move the y value up, which means in the negative direction. So let's say 500. And the x could be I don't know. It's 800 wide, so let's say 400. Let's look at it. Okay. Hey, that's good. So there's our ball. Now we can move the paddle, but you'll notice that we do not have the ball moving at all. And so the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out how to make the ball move, which means back over in main, we need a way to make something happen every 1/60 seconds. And it's actually slightly annoying here. Like I noticed this earlier, but I didn't do anything about it. Um, so we have this timer here, um, which is timing 1/60 seconds, but we're not actually doing anything every 60 seconds. So let's look at let us look at our app here. So uh at 60 frames per second with DX3, blah 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 blah. Um, bouncing off walls. We haven't dealt with that. Let's look at the main. So ball equal to ball dot move. Call this every timer tick. Um, call this inside paint component. Okay. And then the next thing we'll do is the brick class, but we haven't finished this yet, right? So where do we do it? So we have this action performed. That's the only place that we have that we could put anything here. Uh, could we put it here? I mean, this is for action events. That's not really something that happens every 60th of a second. So, right? Like, so where do we put it, right? We need to move the ball, but we don't know where. So this is another opportunity where maybe we could check with AI because normally what you would do is you would have a function called like update, and that update function would be called once per frame. And so let's do that. I'm going to use ChatGPT, which I don't normally use, but I will use it now. Normally use Claude. I'll say we have this program or this main for our breakout game. We need the ball to move every frame by calling ball.move. That's what we need to do, right? But right now, we need an update function that is called every frame to put ball.move in. And I'll just paste our code. So let's see what we have here. The usual game loop structure is action performed is called every frame by the timer. Action performed calls an update method to update the game state. Then it calls repaint to draw the updated state. So they're suggesting that we can change this action performed to have update and repaint, and we can put this update function there. Um, we could also not have an update function. We can just use this as our update function, which I said this was called every 60th of a frame because that's what's drawing our new frames. So we could just put it in here actually. Maybe I will just do that for now. I don't particularly like this, but I think we will. So let's just add ball dot move here. Let's see what that looks like. And we'll call ball dot move before we repaint. Repaint means draw, right? So let's see what happens if I just put ball dot move in the action performed method. Uh-oh. Oh, we just want to save it. Oh, there it goes. Cool. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to see. So we got this ball moving now. You may notice that it just, you know, leaves, and that's because it's not bouncing off anything. So let's modify this in a couple of ways. So let's go back over to ball. Now that the ball's moving, I think we're done with main for now. Let's go to ball. I thought it was moving kind of slow, so I'm going to change these up to 5 and 5 for the dxdy. Let's see. Oh, that's nice. A little bit better. So the ball's moving, but how do we make it bounce off things? So in this lecture, we are not going to have the ball bounce off the paddle. And I felt like that was too much to do in this video. So what we are going to do is we're going to make it bounce off all the edges of the screen. So like right now, the ball goes here and it's off and it's gone. But what I want is the ball to go over here, hit the edge of the screen, bounce up here, hit the top of the screen, bounce this way, hit the bottom of the screen, bounce this way, hit the side, right? I want it to be able to bounce off all the sides of the screen. And it's actually really simple to do that. So all you have to do is when we move the ball, just check if we're outside of the screen. So for example, if the X value is greater than, well, how wide is the screen? It's 800 pixels, right? So if the X value is greater than 800, then that means it's going to leave the screen, right? That means the ball is off the right side of the screen if the X value ever becomes greater than 800. So what do we want to do? Well, what you do is think like if this cursor is the ball, right, goes here, as soon as it goes off the edge, like if this is the edge, for example, as soon as it goes off the edge, we want it to turn around and go this way. So what happens is dx is positive, and then when it hits the edge, if we make the dx negative, then it'll move the other way, right? So it'll move here, and when it hits the edge, we want it to move back. So all you have to do is if the x value becomes greater than 800, then dx should be negative dx. And I think that'll be enough to bounce off the right edge. Let's look. Yeah, bounced off the right edge. Now, there's some issues similar to what we had in the previous video about the size of the ball needing to be taken to effect because the actual X and Y value is the upper left corner of the ball. So we'll adjust that in a minute, but we can do this. So the right side was if the X value is greater than 800, we can do or, remember or, two vertical lines, or if the X value is less than 0, that'll be the left side. So this is the right side and this is the left side. And then you do the exact same thing, but instead of X, it'll be the Y value. And then dx and or sorry, dy and dy. And the height of the screen is not 800, it's 600. So we would want 600 there. And so this will be bounce off top and bottom. And so by adding these two little if statements that will reverse the direction of the ball, reversing the direction of the ball makes it bounce. Let's see what happens. Look at that. So we now have a ball that bounces off. Although you'll notice it bounces off the left side and the top correctly, But if you're paying attention, it actually slightly leaves the screen to the bottom and to the right. And that's related to the fact that it shouldn't be 800. It should be 800 minus the size of the ball. And it shouldn't be 600. It should be 600 minus the size of the ball. And I think if we go up here and we change this back to like 3, so it's just a little bit slower. And I think if you look at it now, with those added, you'll see now it stays on the screen without leaving the bottom and the right. Um, so I think that's good. We got the ball bouncing around. Let's check our slides. Here they are. Let's see what they got. If x is less than or equal to 0, yeah, we could do less than or equal. Or they have x plus size greater than 800. That's the same thing, right? And instead of doing x plus size, I moved the size over to the other side and had 800 minus size. Um, yeah. Oh, and this other thing here is we knew that we were making a breakout game. And so what actually happens is, according to this picture, you bounce off the left, you bounce off the top, you bounce off the right. But when it hits the bottom, that actually loses you a life, right? And so what you can do here is maybe instead of bouncing off the bottom, which is the y great, or actually this one's the bottom. Instead of that, you don't actually want to bounce. You want to like do something else. So like I just copy pasted this and let's let this one be y less than 0. And let's let this one be the y greater than whatever, like that. And run it again. You won't see anything different. It'll just keep bouncing, including off the bottom. But by separating these, so this is the top, right now we're bouncing off the bottom. But just to show you, we could also down here, I can do a system dot out dot print line. Came over, right? Because when it hits the bottom, you're supposed to lose a life. We haven't, coded that, but that's what's going on. So if you look in the console here, when it hits the bottom, well, game over, right? So you can detect when it hits the bottom that way. Right. So we don't need to do anything with that right now, but eventually we'll want to, like when you hit the bottom, you want to game over, or not game over, lose a life, I guess, right? Which will mean that you create a new ball and you do other stuff. Okay, cool. So we have a ball and the ball bounces around. We didn't follow this code exactly, but we did pretty closely. We've already updated the main.java to draw the ball and move it. We did not actually do what I said here. Like I said, we are going to, we need an update function. And basically, the recommendation of ChatGPT there was if you go over to the main and you just wrote like this, like public void update, like that, just an empty function. And then they're saying you could just take all this. You can take all this actually. They're saying put it in there. And then I could call update like that. But that's just the same code, right? Just slightly rearranged. So it doesn't really do anything. I just kind of wanted a function called update. So now that I've done it, we'll just keep it this way. You know what? Um, it's fine like this. Okay. So we got our paddle code and we got our ball code that we update every frame. And then this action performed thing that just gets called by the timer up here. Um, so, all right. And I think that's going to be it for this video because that is the end of the lecture slides. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a brick class. Now, a brick is going to be one single brick, and then we're going to need um, a whole grid of bricks as well. So that'll either be one video or two videos. I think it might be two videos because I think what we'll do is we'll make one brick to start with, and um, we'll make the collision work so that the ball can hit the paddle and the ball can hit the brick and the brick can be destroyed. That seems enough for one video. So we'll get started on the brick class next time. The bricks don't move, so it's actually easier than what we've just done. Um, yeah, so I think that's it. So I'll just kind of go over here so we can look at most of our changes to main. We're right here in this update function I just added right at the last second, and action performed down here. And we added ball.draw to the paint component. And we added a new ball. We created a new ball in our game. Then the Ball.java, we changed the variables a little bit from the paddle variables. We needed to change the name of the class, of course. We picked a new color. We picked a new starting location and its starting speed. We picked a size, and then we basically modified this to add the move function. What we didn't do was actually add setters and getters for everything. So we actually don't have a way to set like we never added a getter and a setter for the DX and the DY. So we may have to add that later, but for now we can do without it. And we don't have a way to change the size. We don't have a way to get the size, etc. So these new variables that we added, we didn't actually add the setter and getter code that we normally would add just because we were lazy. But if we need them, we'll add them later. Okay, so I'll just scroll through this in case somebody wants to pause it. And that's the end of our file. Okay, so that's the end of this video. Hopefully this was interesting or useful to some of you. And in the next video, we'll add bricks, or at least a brick. And after that, things will go really fast. So there'll be the video for brick. And then when we put all the bricks in, it'll feel like a game, basically. Um, yeah, so just a few more videos and we'll be done. So that's it for now. I'm gonna stop this right now as soon as I figure out how again. Um, where is it? I don't know. Just gonna stop the whole thing. Oh, there it is. Stop recording. Found it. How come I have to do this every time? Nobody knows.